Hey everyone, it is UFC 264 Fight Week. We are inside the Apex and I am joined by one half of the main event, Dustin Poirier. Dustin, thank you so much for your time. I know there's a lot going on. There's so much hype behind this fight. For you personally, how much has life changed since that fight in January?
Obviously, you beat a guy like Connor. He's such a celebrity that you go out there and get your hand raised, especially knock him out. You get a lot more opportunities business-wise, and it's been nonstop since January for me.
I know that you're a guy who, even though you may be victorious, you're not going to just walk away from that and say, oh, there's nothing to be learned. So watching that fight back and seeing, how it played out, what are your biggest takeaways, both good and bad?
Um, the biggest takeaway I think I have is the mindset I need to be in the moment to perform my best. That night I felt really on. I felt good when I walked into the octagon. Just felt in the present, and I think that's important. If there was a way to bottle it and do it every time, I would love to, but it's like a learning experience. I'm trying to get that feeling every time, and I've felt it before, but it's to capture that and perform in that like flow state, like just I'm in there, I'm in the zone. It just feels good. Everything comes together.
Was there anything like in particular you did to be able to feel that way? I mean, is there anything that you can point to and say like, I need to do this every time?
I honestly think that not caring as much allowed me to get into that mindset. Like I just stopped putting so much pressure. I just felt like it was another part of my career, another part of my story that I was writing, and that's where I need to be. And I feel the same coming into this week. Like it's a huge fight, obviously. Fans are going to be crazy. It's a trilogy where both guys knocked each other out. I mean, this is a big event and a big fight for MMA and for history of combat sports. But I don't really care. Like I know I put in the work and I know I'm prepared, and that's all I can do.
There's got to be a comfort from that preparation, right? Is that what can kind of lend itself to the not caring attitude?
Yeah, that, I always put in the work, check all the boxes. But it's just, I guess, experience too, not only in fighting, but in life. Just kind of like I know I'm dangerous. I know I'm skilled everywhere. I know I can put it all together and beat anybody in the world on any given night. I'm just comfortable with myself, I guess.
And I know, I like that you've said that in the lead up to this fight, and that's why you wanted this trilogy with Conor, because if you want to be the world champion and believe you can be, then you'd have to beat him along the way anyway. But this one, Dana's confirmed, yeah, whoever wins this fight is most likely next in line. Charles Oliveira will be in the crowd. Does that elicit any response from you, or is that something you can't even put on your radar?
That's something I expected. I'm not surprised to hear him say that. I mean, I'm the #1 contender. I go out there and get my hand raised. I don't become the #2 contender.
Right.
So I expected that. The same could be said for him. Like the winner of this fight is fighting for the belt.
For you, what's more important when you look at it then? Is it to be victorious, have a massive payday, come out the winner 2-1 of this trilogy, or is it to earn that right to compete for the belt?
I mean, they're both huge. I'm a provider. At the end of the day, I'm a prize fighter, and I want to be the best, and I want to be in the history books and have all these accolades and have benchmarks that other fighters try to beat one day. I want all that stuff. And before I'm done fighting, I want to be able to say I'm an undisputed world champion. I have the interim belt at home, but that's not good enough. I want to be the undisputed world champion. And it's really important to me to close on my career being able to say that. But also, I have priorities, and like I said, I'm a provider, and I want my daughter to be set and go to college. And, things change as you grow. So that's still a very important thing to me that I still am chasing like a maniac. But also getting my family in a good position becomes a main focus as I get older in my fighting. I still feel good. I'm 32, but any fight can be your last.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful and admirable approach, in my opinion, to looking at these fights. But in terms of this one, I mean, no matter what, you want your hand raised, whether it's for the paycheck or to fight for the belt. What's the most important weapon that you possess? Because you really are such a well-rounded fighter. For you, this one being a fresh approach to this third matchup, what do you think will be most vital?
My ability, my trust in myself, my ability to push through adversity, because I expect it in every fight. Last fight, I got hit with a couple shots that kind of buzzed me a little bit, but I expect to have to dig deep, and knowing that I can rely on that, it kind of gives me a little comfort mentally when I think about fighting and think about the way this fight could unfold in there. I just know I can trust myself.
What are your expectations for how he comes out in this one? I know you've said you need to look at it as a totally different Connor, but when you really envision it, what do you see?
I see him being elusive, back to more of a karate wide stance, so he's not so heavy on that front foot to get kicked, and a lot of in and out movement. A little bit more springy than he was. He kind of fought me a little this last one, a little flat-footed, heavy boxer stance. I think he's going to be more in and out movement.
You guys certainly weren't the best of friends in the second fight, but it seemed like it was a more respectful path. There was a lot of nice things being said, or at least respectable things being said about one another in the lead up to this, and then it kind of went left. What changed it, in your opinion?
I'm not really sure. Maybe the charity thing. I don't know. I don't really care, but it's fighting. Saturday night we're gonna scrap.
In order to get to the fight, there's so many things that you guys have to do, whether it's behind the scenes stuff that our fans don't get to see, with the different photo shoots and interviews and stuff. There's also a press conference, there's weigh-ins. A lot of these things are now gonna have a crowd. When you think about that and, the first sold out crowd for a fight since 2020, early in 2020, do you feel like there's gonna be any play to that on his side?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. He's back to the mean guy. He's going to be crazy, theatrical. It's going to be, I'm sure the press conference is going to be nuts. I'm just happy that where I'm at now, I'm not that kid that really cares or even thinks about that, or whatever the headlines are going to be after the press conference. I can care less.
Yeah, I like that for you, because it seems like that's where it goes best for you, when you're able to have that approach. It's funny, Dustin, I was talking to your manager earlier this week, and he's been with you for a very long time, and he told me a story that I didn't know. He told me that even before you were in the WEC, you tried out for the Ultimate Fighter. And he said you had very little money, you were making a couple $100 to fight, and you went down there, I believe it was the Palace Station, you tried out, and you got sent home because they said, you're too boring. What would the Dustin of today tell the Dustin back then who was trying out and getting their heart broken at that moment from the Ultimate Fighter?
Stay true to the path. Good job. Don't be yourself. And I've kept that. I wasn't a character. I didn't have to play the game that way. I just had to fight and keep showing up to the gym, and it all pays off.
Are you able to ever look at your body of work? Is that something that you're able to draw confidence from, or is it something that you won't look at until you're done fighting?
I do. Like when I talk to younger fighters back home, I help a lot of up-and-coming guys and corner a lot of guys and try to give them insight to not only skill, but just the mental part and the business part of fighting. I have a lot of friends who are young and trying to fight. And when I'm with them and we start talking about my career, then I find kind of like, makes me feel like an old man. I'm only 32. They were in like freshmen and stuff like that in high school, and I was fighting in the UFC, back in 2011, 2010. And I was like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's been a lot throughout your career that you can draw from, highs and lows. There's also been a lot from American Top Team that I believe that you take for them and their support of your journey, how they've helped you grow as an athlete. What can you really say about getting to this point with guys like Mike Brown behind you?
And they have an incredible staff, an incredible gym. And Dan, the owner of American Top Team, goes above and beyond to make sure I have the sparring partners and the amenities that I need at the gym. They really do a good job of catering to fighters with big fights coming up and make sure everything goes smooth.
There's a lot of people who surround you as a supportive community. Probably the most important would be Jolie. I love these pictures of you guys. I think it's prom. There's a picture. That
was her prom. I had already dropped out of school. That was her prom.
Okay, so her prom, and then, her pointing to you inside the octagon after you beat Conor McGregor. I mean, I get emotional sometimes because I've known you guys for so long, but being a part of that journey is difficult for any partner. When you get to see her have the best life possible and you give your daughter the best life possible, what is that like for you?
It's amazing to grow through life with somebody like that. She drove me. I didn't even have a car. She drove me to Arkansas for my first amateur fight back in 2006, or I think 2006. I don't even know anymore, but yeah, we stayed in like a Motel 6 together. The air conditioning, the carpet's like wet, just gross trips. She's been there since the first one, so it's awesome. But yeah, it makes me proud to be able to give them a good life through fighting. But that's, I would do whatever it takes to I would set myself on fire to keep them warm, you know?
Oh, that's a beautiful sentiment. Before I let you go, I want to ask you about this lunch with Mickey Ward.
Yeah.
How did that come about? What was that like? I mean, I'm so intrigued by it all.
He was at American Top Team recruiting a couple fighters he's starting an online training program.
Okay.
And I ran into him. We've chatted before on Instagram back and forth. I'm a big fan of his, obviously. And it was actually the 19-year anniversary of Gotti Ward 1. Me and him went to have lunch. So a man who knows about Trilogy.
Yes.
You know? It was amazing, though, picking his brain, talking to him. He's a good dude.
What if anything is the biggest maybe nugget you took away from those conversations? Because you're right, if there's a guy who knows about trilogies, it's certainly him.
We didn't get crazy into breaking down things or game planning or stuff like that. It was just, you know, he's a tough guy. Like when he talks, you just feel it, you know. Yeah, I wouldn't say I have like a single thing I took away, but it was just good to be in the presence of somebody who I'm such a big fan of and their story. You know, it's just amazing. The documentary, I think Legendary Nights, it's such a great documentary, man, about the story of their trilogy. So it was a surreal moment for me.
Dustin, I know you've talked ad nauseum about this fight. You will have to continue to answer questions, you know, throughout the week. So my final question for you is this. When you lay down at night and you're thinking about this fight, because no matter what, I know it's going to pop into your brain. How do you see this one that is scheduled for 25 minutes really going down?
For some reason, I just keep visualizing myself submitting this guy. Yeah, I really do. I don't know how it's going to come about or what's going to happen, but I just have a feeling that I'm going to sub him. I really do.
Any idea where in the fight that could happen?
I have no clue. I don't even like to make predictions and stuff like that. And I usually don't have like something come in my head like I'm going to knock this guy out or I'm just going to win by any means. Sure. That's my goal every fight. But I just have a feeling I might submit him.
Excellent. Well, we cannot wait to see you in there. We appreciate your time as always. Good luck. Have fun. We'll be there.
Thanks.
Thanks, Dustin.